Hello and welcome back to Coffee with Craig. It is Sunday morning and I hope that you are having a restful weekend. All right, so let's talk guns, or let's talk about soon-to-be guns. Gabby Giffords' organization, her Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, is going out of their way to try and shut down those websites that provide access to information and the materials in which to be able to build your own semi-automatic firearm at home, such as ghostgunner.net. Now, their whole contention is that these organizations are actually facilitating the illegal manufacture and sale of firearms. When, if you listen to what the proprietors of these websites, Cody Wilson in particular from ghostgunner.net, notes that everything that he does is consistent with federal law and is completely and wholly legal. Now, the interesting part about this is that you oftentimes are having, or not oftentimes, but you're having law enforcement say, well, we're seeing an increase in the number of these firearms that are being utilized in crime. Well, okay, well, you know, when you push them on it, they have a very difficult time actually explaining what that means. The first thing is, okay, so you say an increase. How many were used in crimes and how many are now being used in crimes? And guess what? They can't tell you. Do you want to know why they can't tell you? They can't tell you because they don't want to tell you. They don't want to tell you that maybe less than 0.01% were used in crimes, and now maybe 0.02% of crimes are now committed utilizing these firearms. Now, once again, folks, keep in mind, 3%, less than 3% of all firearms-related crimes involve rifles, involve long guns, let alone semi-automatic long guns, let alone home-built semi-automatic long guns. So for them to say that, well, they're seeing an increase, well, yeah, if I went from 0.001 to 0.002, yeah, that's a doubling. But is it really still significant enough to believe that there is this mass market out there for home-built firearms? No, they can't tell you. The other thing that they won't tell you is they won't tell you, well, when you do talk about those crimes, how many of those crimes are actually individuals utilizing these firearms in the commission of a violent crime? And how many of them are simply either possession of because, well, they weren't supposed to be in possession of it, or they were suspected of manufacturing, meaning we don't know whether or not they were actually manufacturing. There's a gray line there that they may or may not have crossed. Now, once again, I'm not defending any specific website or seller or manufacturer. All I'm saying is that when it comes to firearms laws, especially in states like California, the line is, you don't know where the line is because they keep changing and moving the line. They make it incredibly difficult for law-abiding citizens. People who do, by the way, want to obey the law, they can sometimes make it difficult by moving the line right out from underneath them. But once again, they cannot tell you exactly, or at least they won't. At least they haven't told us. Let's put it that way. I don't know if they can't. I don't know if they won't, but I do know that they haven't told us how many of these firearms have been used in violent crimes. So once again, this is another solution looking for a problem. But one of the things that they're doing differently, that Gabby's doing differently, in this particular case, she's going after the hosting companies like Shopify and DreamHost, and trying to basically get them to shut down these organizations. Even though these organizations are complying with the law, even though there's no evidence that they're violating the law Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, or the Law Center to Prevent Gun Sales, the Law Center to violate our constitutional right to keep and bear arms, is trying to shut them down by going after the hosting companies, these companies that provide the services to these websites. I think that is ashamed. If you can't do it legally, once again, legally, then maybe you ought to rethink whether or not what you're doing is the right thing. Just saying. I'm hoping that these companies, that Shopify and DreamHost, I'm hoping that they don't cave. A lot of times, in particular when it comes to the software industry or the technology industry, a lot of these companies can tend to be kind of weak-kneed. They can tend to be kind of soft and cowardly when it comes to stuff like this. And I'm hoping that these businesses, I'm hoping that they stay in business. Otherwise, it's going to be important for us to make sure that maybe we want to look at all of the organizations, all of the businesses that we know that are firearms related, and look at who they utilize for their online shopping service or online sales. Anyway, I'm hoping that these two companies in particular, I'm hoping that they stand up and they say, look, as long as these companies are engaged in legal activities, then we will support them. And how do we know they're legal activities? Because I don't see ATF coming to shut them down. Sorry, Gabby. Sorry you don't like organizations that follow the law, but that is the way that it is. And all right, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to like and share these videos. Let folks know FPC is the home in the fights for civil rights. Got to use them or we're going to lose them. Thanks. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.